Hey, what do you say we do this podcast for you on a Tuesday? Al, what is going on?
Oh, hi there, Jerry. I've been consuming an awful lot of YouTube videos. I feel like I spend a lot more of my time that I used to spend on social media.
Mm,
I spend on YouTube
I spend a lot of
videos
time on
now,
YouTube as well.
and I'm getting into my feed a lot. And I guess because I keep watching them, I'm interested in this. Evidently, this the different generations, like Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, all
Yeah.
these things, baby boomers, that sort of thing, and how each one is mad at the other one in some
In what
ways.
regard?
Well, like so I wanted to look this up. So baby boomers,
That's really the only one I know. Baby boomers are the ones that were born after the war, after World War II.
baby boomers were born between 1946
Right.
and 1964.
Okay.
Okay? After 64 it was Gen X.
Okay.
So Gen X goes from 64 until 1980. So you're Gen X,
Mm-hmm.
I'm Gen X, Eddie's Gen X. And then after that, it's millennials until 96, Gen Z, and then there's others on top of that. But what I'm looking at is like I see a lot of millennials and Gen Z angry at the housing situation. And they seemingly are blaming baby boomers and Gen X for buying homes, staying in those homes, and now those homes being worth a lot of money.
What do you want people to do when they buy a house?
Well, they feel like
Give them up?
that they can't
Oh, there it
they
is.
can't buy a house.
Well, that's their problem.
But
Let me ask you this, and ask your dad this. Was it easy in 1982 to buy a house with interest rates at 10%, 12%?
it was not
Okay. I mean, every decade, every age has its challenges.
correct. I saw a very interesting uh, conversation. It was on the Impact podcast, which I'd never heard of, but has a ton of
Of
views on.
course.
This guy is like a tech guy, but he had
Mhm.
somebody on there. They were talking about different generations, and that guy made a good point in that you know i- the baby boomers and the Gen X people, we had opportunities to buy a home, but that also meant doing things that Gen Z and millennials don't seem to want to do.
Work.
Well, that's well, for example, they don't want to work in one job that they have to go into 9 to 5, 5 days a week for 40 years. They don't want to do that.
Hmm.
And they're not doing that. My parents, I couldn't get a job working in my house on a YouTube channel and making a living at that.
That is very true.
There are different opportunities for each generation,
Yep.
right? So it's hard, like so the baby boomers and Gen X don't think that millennials and Gen Z want to work.
Hmm.
And they, I think, feel like what am I working for? I can't afford a house and I have no future. I don't know.
I
I'm trying to.
There are different places you can live that are more affordable. If you're going to live in Manhattan, you need a higher paying job. It's a fight for, I don't think it's ever been. I talked to someone that we both know, and I'm not going to say who, had this conversation with him a few weeks ago, and someone very well off, especially if you look at everything. And, we were talking about incomes in 2025, and he said something that I've always said too. Like if 20-year-old me saw what 50-year-old me makes, you would think that I could retire now and go move to the Cayman Islands and live my life beautifully with my family. But everything you do comes with a cost, and a lot of the costs that are built into our lives are by choice. Yeah, home prices are very expensive. Credit card debt is the biggest issue for me, I think, for most Americans. I think almost everybody, I would say a very high percentage of people live above their means.
Yeah.
Because credit cards have made that very, very easy. Car loans have made that very, very easy. Now, you want to get into the cost of a car, that's fair. I'm not going to argue that point at all. But, you know, it- everybody has it. And if everybody from the time they were 15 or 14 lived with cash and just dealt with cash, I think you'd be in a lot better shape when you're 25 and 30. I do. It's just the money's too accessible and too easy. And I mean, we know a lot of people that have gone into bankruptcy that have good jobs. Why? Because they just rack up credit card debt that consumes them. So a lot of it's our own fault, I would say. Some of it is a tough market and a tough time we're living in and an expensive time. But whose fault is it that the home prices skyrocketed? So, for instance, what millennial? Who is it that's mad at the housing
Millennials and
prices?
Gen Z.
Okay,
Gen Z.
you agree with me that your condo is now worth double or more than double that you paid for it.
It's worth 50% more than I paid for it 5 years ago.
It's doubled.
No, it's
No.
50% more.
So, in theory, if you paid 400,000, it's only worth 600,000 right now.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was worth 8.
No.
Okay, my house has almost doubled in value. I had nothing to do with my house doubling in value.
Right.
Nothing at all. Zero. Zilch. Not only did it doubled, and I was able to refinance to like 2.5%. Not my fault that happened. So I don't know where you would blame people. Instead, blame people that are basically rushing to the suburbs to buy the houses and making the inventory light. There are places in this country that are very cheap to live because people don't want to be there. So I don't know. Yes, it's very difficult. I have 2 kids, 20 and 15. They're dealing with the same stuff. I'm trying to instill on them no debts, just, live your life, make your money, save it and invest it and try and make your money make money. And I think they'll be in good shape, but it's not easy. There's nothing easy about it.
The one thing that I keep seeing pop up on a lot of these videos, which I don't understand because I am a Gen X, and I did not believe this way back when, which is they feel like they've been scammed about college, that they go to college and when they come out, they don't have a high paying job. I never assumed going to college, unless it was going to be for something very specific, like I'm going to be a dentist, I'm going to be a lawyer,
a doctor.
Those are jobs that come
Yes.
with, I'm going to be an accountant. When you're going to school, and I was communications, or you're liberal arts, or you're a history major, or an English major, the idea that you thought, how is that going to translate into a high paying job? I don't know.
Well, for me, growing up, it was you're going to go to college because without the college degree, you won't be able to get a job. That's what I was pretty much, and I'm not even saying my parents
that's
told
the
me that.
starting point.
Yeah, like everybody is going through school. I feel like everybody, whether it was my parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, I felt like it was basically drilled into my head that if you don't get a college degree, you will not get forget high paying job, but you will not get a good job. That you're just not going to be qualified. They're not even going to interview you because you don't have a college degree, which never made sense to me because I always thought, especially when you go to college and they make you take these BS courses freshman year, like these requirements that had nothing to do with anything of what you want. Like I knew I wanted to get into sports broadcasting. Why in the hell did I have to take a painting class? Like I had to take like an arts, I forget what, liberal art, whatever. Like there was one I was like, took painting. Why? Like what all that did was charge us for the credits that had nothing to do with what I wanted to do with my life. Why did I have to take a history class when I took 9 years of history in grammar school and high school? To me, it was nothing more than a cash grab. Oh, it'd be well-rounded. All right, I learned about history in high school and college. College was, grammar school. I thought college was supposed to be to get you ready for the next part of your life, which is why trade schools, if you know what you want to do, are so good, in my opinion. You want to be an electrician, why would you go to college? Go to electrician school, get your apprenticeship, and you're on your way, and you're making money pretty quickly. So I don't know. It's funny. I think I've used the word scam too at times when we've talked about college. I don't know that I go that far. I think it is very relevant still. The problem is colleges outprice themselves. $60,000 a year to go to, 4 classes a week? The hell are we paying for?
Yeah, I think there's a couple key moves when you're younger that can really screw you up. And that is if you are the one paying for your college and your parents are not paying, and you're responsible for that, you can't go somewhere like Boston College. You have to go to Kane College of New Jersey. And then when it's time for you to buy a car, you can't buy a $40,000 new car.
But a lot of 17 and 18-year-olds are, whether their parents are co-signing the loans or whatever the case is. You see a lot of young kids driving I mean, my God, my car's got 210,000 miles on it. And if it goes, I'm going to keep driving it. But kids have really nice cars at a
Yeah.
very young age.
And then going on vacations with your friends. And I think it's hard to put off enjoying life
Mm-hmm.
when you're younger, to put that off a little bit to save money. And I think what's happening now is because the housing prices are very high, no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Even renting prices are very high.
Yeah, very high. That they're saying, screw it. I'm going to get a nice car instead. I'm going to go on vacation with my friends. We're going to go out to dinner and all these things.
And they'll just keep living with mom and dad.
Yeah, I was also reading how the moms and dads who are baby boomers and Gen X
Mhm.
parents are subsidizing their adult children with a allowance every month
Oh, no.
of hundreds of dollars.
No, that we do not do. Absolutely not. I ain't kicking my kids out just yet. I mean, my son's 20. I'm not kicking him out of the house anytime soon. But I've never given them an allowance ever.
Yeah.
We tried it a couple of times, but the allowance was for chores. If you wanted to work for it, I would give you a few dollars a week. Soon as that fizzled out, money was dried up. That's
Yeah.
it. You don't do it, I don't pay you. Give them an allowance. You got to be for what? To just live? Go
To
get a job.
subsidize
Go
their
get a job.
living. Well, they're saying the jobs aren't paying what
If they live in a home,
what they wanted to pay. No, they're like helping them live on their own and
Oh.
pay their bills and pay their rent. And
it's tough.
yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out like where the disconnect is with different people. Like why I don't know. Like you have to, like when you're going to college and you're picking a major, if you're picking a major that doesn't equal a job right away,
Mm-hmm.
a high paying job right away, and most of them do not,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to be prepared for that. You can't spend a ton of money on college if you're paying for that. You can't have an expensive car if you're paying for that. You can't go out to dinner every
You know what the problem is? What you're saying is that you can. And I come back to the debt and the credit cards and the loans. You're right. You shouldn't. You can't, except that you can. It's all made available and possible for you to do it. And
Yeah.
you end up digging a deeper and deeper hole for yourself.
Yeah, it's like the baby boomers who were buying the house that was deemed affordable were able to buy that house because their car was a piece of junk. They didn't go out to dinner multiple times a
Mhm.
month.
I remember growing up, my dad did well, but my parents didn't go out to dinner or order in multiple times a week.
No, we would do maybe a Saturday night, and we'd go to
Yeah.
like Roy Rogers or
Yeah,
get pizza.
I don't remember doing that. We definitely did pizza, and I would say we went out once in a while.
Yeah,
It wasn't often, and we go out way more than we should, for sure, me and my family, there's no doubt,
me too.
because I can't sit in the house, especially on a day where you do nothing. Let's go out I gotta get out of the house and feel like I did something. But growing up, we did not go out often. We went out, but it wasn't like now.
I think the biggest killers are car payments and going out to eat. Those are two gigantic. If you
Yeah.
look every month, what you're paying for those two things alone.
So here's an interesting one then for you with the car, because the car is interesting to me, as I have been someone for the last, man, I haven't bought a new car in probably 25 years. I mean, I haven't bought a new car since I think I was 24 or 25.
Where like you went in and bought a brand new.
I bought a brand new, it was a Toyota Paseo back in the day. Brand new. It was a cheap Toyota. It was a small car. It was a great commuting car, but it was brand new. And I think I was 24. Now, remember, I started working when I was 13. So I actually had some money. Not a lot, but I did have money. And I did finance that. I think my car payment was like $129 a month or something. It was something crazy because I had money for a down payment plus my car I was trading in. But since that, it's been nothing but used cars that have like roughly 50,000 miles on them. And I try and drive them to like 200,000 and get a new one. So I'm at 210 now trying to figure out what to do. Friend of mine just got a brand new, it's like a Dodge Caravan. I think it's a Dodge. I think it's Dodge. I'm like, what happened to the other one? He goes, lease was up. I'm like, it's interesting. So you lease. He goes, I lease, and here's why. A, the mileage works for him. Me and you, no good. But the mileage works for him. And he said, rather than keep it and things start falling apart on it and fixing it, why not just keep his payment and never have to ever go to the shop ever? Just get your oil changes, turn it in, get a new car. Like, he's always driving a car that's reliable, that doesn't need repairs, and he feels he saves money. Like, I just had repairs on my car. It was $4,000. So I get that. It's very interesting, though, the different philosophies on cars.
Yeah, but you're always, every time you lease a car, you're putting a down payment.
That is true. It costs you money.
And then also paying the monthly thing.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
There's no right answer to anything.
Well, I think the other thing is that our thinking is, even if you get to the point where you've paid your car off, it's like, oh, my car's paid off, time to get a new one, right? My phone's paid off, time to get a new one.
As opposed to trying to enjoy being payment free for a while. See, now, because of the amount we drive, my car was just paid off. I don't know how long it's going to last because I just had 208 or 9,000 miles on it. I'm not fixing it again if something goes wrong. I'm hoping to get a year of payment-free driving, but I don't know. It would be nice if you could pay it off and the car's only got 85,000 miles on it and it's fine. That's not the case when we're doing 30,000 miles a year and you might be doing 40,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing like 35,000.
I figured, yeah. I think I'm at like 28 to 30, so that makes sense.
Yeah. The housing thing is an interesting one just because it is very expensive right now around here.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I mean, I've thought about moving. And every time I look, I'm like, where am I going to go, though? Because even, like I said, renting is for what I would need. And I don't need a big house, but I still do need 3 bedrooms. It's not cheap. Like, it's pretty obscene, actually.
Yeah.
So I understand the issue. Now, there's different ways you can rent. Renting an apartment is cheaper than renting a house, for sure. But nothing's cheap. I get that.
I'm also trying to figure out, like, what are people making these days? What is an average 27-year-old person making
What's the field
in New Jersey? I don't know. Like, just, is there an average? Let's see.
I think it's going to be less than you think, because thrown into all those numbers will be people that work in retail, where you don't make a fortune unless you're upper management, I would think. You know, what does an accountant in New Jersey make?
I asked, what does the average 27-year-old make in New Jersey?
Okay.
Says the average salary for a 27-year-old in New Jersey is around $78,000 per year, according to ZipRecruiter.
Okay. So if you're telling me two 27-year-olds that get married that have full-time jobs that are making $160,000 a year, if you're not carrying a lot of debt, you can afford a house.
Yeah, it says this is equivalent to $6,500 a month. So if you got 2 people,
that's $12,000. You can afford a house.
$13,000,
right, unless you're carrying a ton of debt. And also, what are your spending habits? Those are choices. Going out to dinner, eating out a lot, choices. Having cable, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Spotify, all those things add up. Those are choices. You know, all right, the gas bill, the electric bill, there are certain things you have to have. I get it. The cell phone you have to have these days. All of that's true. But there's a lot of wasteful spending.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I would do it again if I were in a position, but like, I was in Florida, which was very cheap to live at the time.
Yep.
So I was able to have a normal life making $17,000 a year at the time.
Sure.
I was in Florida. And you can get, Florida is one of those places now that's
saturated.
That's got a lot of housing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of available housing.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, if your job's not there, but what I'm saying is there's different opportunities for the newer generations
to make money
that the older generations didn't have.
Correct.
You know, working from home.
Mm-hmm. Right. That was in its infancy, working from home, when we were, if you go back to the early 2000s. And also the idea of making money on a computer was still, the internet was still relatively new in like 2000.
Oh, for sure.
So how were you making money on your own if you didn't have the brick and mortar business or some sort of business with a vehicle or something? It was still That wasn't, YouTube wasn't possible. Making money by selling T-shirts online wasn't possible yet, or it was just really starting. We've come a long way in that regard.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I had one other thing I would just popped in my mind. Damn it.
I hate when that happens.
Mm,
In and out.
yeah.
In and out.
It was about that when our parents bought houses,
Mhm.
and I would say even probably the first condo I bought in 2001 or 2000. No, I bought a condo in 2003.
Mhm.
When I was buying that condo and our parents were buying their houses, they weren't looking at their house as a, I'm going to sell this in 5 years for a huge profit. It was like,
Right.
no, this is,
Your house.
yeah, I need a place to live that
Mhm.
I'm going to pay for.
Right.
And the idea was that you were going to live there your whole life. And in 30 years, when your mortgage was done, that's when you would be ready for
Mhm.
retirement. And then you wouldn't have a house payment other than taxes and
Yeah, utilities.
utilities and things like that. So that wasn't a thing either where people were just, well, which is why there are baby boomers who've been in their house for 45 years. And yes, they paid $16,000 for their house, which is now worth $400,000.
Mhm.
But they were in it
Correct.
all those.
And think about how much money they've sunk into the house. You're still paying the property taxes, the state tax, like all of that stuff. Even if you are paid off, you are paying for every month. You still have to pay your utilities. It's, yeah, the mortgage is gone, but you still have payments. You
And
still
it,
have things you got to make.
and as much as I read here that the average salary for a 27-year-old in New Jersey is $78,000, when you were 27 years old, you would have killed to make $78,000 a year.
At 27 years old, I got married. How old was I? I was 25 when I got married. My first full-time job here, I made 22.9. 22.9. That's actually probably what I was making.
Right. So compare
I probably was making around 70
making in what? In
at 27.
at
I
27?
was probably making mid 60s.
Oh, damn. I was way behind.
Yeah. I actually think my first, what I considered a real salary, was right around 27 or 28 years old, 63.8, I believe.
At Fan?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. As a full-time anchor.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember thinking I was rich.
I don't think those guys make that. I think if they hired an anchor today, that person wouldn't make
I
that
don't know
money.
what the contracts. I don't deal with the union contracts
Yeah.
anymore, so I don't know. But I do remember when I got the job and I knew it was a union contract, so I knew what I was getting paid. It was the first time I remember saying to my wife, like, I made it.
Definitely.
But so here's the different mentality. We could have stayed in the townhouse we were in that we had just bought, but I got that job. Kim was making good money. Instead, we bought a house.
Right. That's the other thing we do, right? As humans.
We upgraded.
Right. You get a raise, you
Mhm.
get a newer car, you get a newer house, and all of a sudden that cushion, like you get a raise and a little cushion here. No, let me fill in that
Correct.
cushion.
We could have stayed in that. And the plan, to be honest with you, and this is kind of funny. I know we got to go here. The plan was to stay in that townhouse until we had our first child. And then we were going to go 6-7 months after whatever we had. Didn't turn out to have the baby in that townhouse because I bleep you not. I would say a couple of months after I got the job. Now I was working overnights. So a couple of months after I got the job, we had renters next door to us in the townhouse that we bought. They were strippers. They were really nice. They were attractive. They were throwing parties. And so I would go to work. I'd come home. Everything was quiet. My wife couldn't sleep. It was constant noise,
Stripper
constant
parties.
people coming. There were. And so we wound up moving early because of that, but also because we could. If I didn't get that raise or that new job, we would have been stuck there and we didn't have to go. And then ironically enough, on moving day, they also told us they were moving out and nice family was coming in. Like, oh, come on.
Strippers are moving
Swear to
out.
God. Yep.
Damn.
Yep. Very funny.
All right, Trey, let's do the warm-up show. We did that this morning. We'll be
Yeah.
back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. See ya.